Welcome to the SGN Podcast, where it's all sim, all the time.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another SGN Podcast, and today I'm here with a special guest. We're going to go ahead and let him introduce himself. Take it away.
Hello, Smoking Jay. I'm with SGN HUB Gaming, one of the many members of the whole conglomerate that we call SGN HUB.
Yeah. I think it's, I really like what you do, man, because we have a lot of members in the community for various specific games who like to drop content. You know, you got Eric Rayweather who does Madden information, but he only does Madden information. He doesn't do the other games that are out there, whether it's FIFA and soccer or MLB The Show, hockey, 2K. He doesn't do it. And then you got on the 2K side, used to have Agent. He kind of stopped doing it. Now you got Joe Knows, Badge Plug, a bunch of various people. But it's really cool because you're like a one-stop shop for everybody who plays sports video games to go and find all the news that's out there.
Yes. And it's like, just like I said, a conglomerate. All of us try to take our passion for games that we play. I'm a little bit older, so I'm pretty much into like Madden, Maximum Football. Then, like I was telling you in the green room, there's my son. He's into League of Legends, Fortnite. Then there's Quasi91. He does MLB The Show content. We have Dark Ronin. He's our undisputed boxing guy, and Coach K and Salty Sniper, them two do college football and ESG football, ESG 24, which we got lucky and we're on the stream team with ESG football.
Yeah, man. And for those curious, we got it pulled up on the screen here, your YouTube channel, where you've already dropped information that released for EA's new college football game. We got undisputed information, Maximum Football. Dropped an update a couple days ago. They dropped another update today too, which was super awesome. Yes. But we got not just the AAA titles. We got everything here is being covered by you guys for sports gaming. ESG football is one that I've been really, really following along for a while now. I'm really interested in that because I feel like it's going to be football similar to my career for 2K, and I think it's going to be really, really great. You also throw up, Madden simulation videos and stuff like that. And so for anybody who plays multiple sports games, you got all the information out there that anyone could possibly want.
So it's like, we're just passionate gamers, and a lot of the indie titles, we always felt like they don't get enough shine, like varsity football, which is up and coming, promising game. Like, it's for the past couple of years we've only had Madden, and it's kind of like Madden sucks the air out of the room, and you never get to hear about what Axis football is doing, or a game like varsity or Maximum Football. And we're trying to give them a platform, give them a space at the table.
Right. Axis Football has intrigued me. However, I looked at their recent updates, and then I compared to what Maximum's doing, and I just feel like the two studios need to merge.
Yes.
100%, because Axis has some cool things that they're doing, but it's clear they're behind what Maximum's doing.
Axis, their franchise mode is top notch. You can't find more depth than what Axis offers with, as far as coaching staff, developing players, and everything else. And like you said, if they could take those two and merge them together, and even make it better if you could bring varsity, bring in
the graphics and the real-time physics that Maximum's doing, and bringing that team to bring in the creative side for their franchise modes, and then you get extra devs to work on various other elements of the game, like immersion, weather, more animations, because we know the biggest thing that's going to hold Maximum back and compared to Madden is just going to be their animation library. And it's through no fault of their own. I mean, Madden's been doing it for forever. They got AAA title resources. They're going to have an animation library that's far exceeds what Maximum can do. But if Maximum can like have smooth animations, everything looks right, I think I'm super excited for Maximum, man. Like I really am, because I like realism in my franchise modes, and as good, if you get Madden gameplay playing fun and exciting, there's no immersion.
Oh, absolutely. And I hope Micah doesn't kill me for saying this, but like I've been in their playtest with Maximum Football for the past, say, year, and I think that people are going to be very surprised with what they are going to get to play. Like a lot of what they did with the delay was to add those extra blending animations and to make things look more fluid and for it to have a flow. And what I like about it is their number one foundation was to focus on the core mechanics of football and how players should behave. Now, things might not always look right, but the game behaves 100% like actual football, which will have the sim crowd like us. It's going to make us very happy. And I think a lot of people are going to be blown back by what they actually offer as far as animations and everything else goes.
In that playtest that you've been working on, do they update the builds for you? Like the updates that Maximum dropped today as far as their blocking improvements and things like that, they update that for you in your playtest, so you're actually able to go in and check these out? Or
yeah, we'll receive like a different candidate, and it's one that will be up for like their early access, and they'll let us know little tweaks, and we'll give them back the feedback, and they'll fix that, and then it'll be underneath the test to see if they're going to release it to a broader play test. But I can tell you this, they're getting extremely close. Like the build that they showed, that was today, I honestly can't wait to get my hands on that one to see what it has to offer.
See, I really want to try it, but I don't have a powerful enough PC. I mean, according to my graphics card information, it's supposed to be strong enough to run Madden 24. And I really wanted to try Madden 24 with what they're doing with the mods, because I'm a huge immersion guy, and on the field immersion is great. Now, obviously, they've done some really cool layouts inside franchise mode to get you immersed in what you're doing. But the on the field, like the snow and stuff that they're able to do, I downloaded Madden 24 because according to what they say, my graphics card's powerful enough. On the lowest settings, man, turning off everything, my game, it just couldn't run it.
Madden's a resource hog.
Huh?
Madden is a resource hog. I have a 3070 in my rig, and whenever I play Madden, it sounds like it's getting ready to take off. And I've had time for Madden's just shut down on me.
So I'm really waiting for them to launch like a playtest for PS5 or something like that. That's where I'd like to get my hands on it, just because I would like to eventually work my way over to PC for some things, because you got Madden, which you can play Madden and you can have the mods and still do what I do with it on PC. 2K's got to make the leap to PC this year. There's no excuse for them not to at this point. And then you can do everything. I can still do everything I do for 2K, but I can have all the extra cool mod stuff that guys do for like presentation and stuff like that. And
see, that's their problem is when you dip into the PC market and you put a gamer on PC, you run into the problem as far as the hackers go. And I had 2K a couple years ago, and I got into the park, and oh boy, yeah, you got demigods walking away, around people hacking into it, and it kind of takes away a little bit of the fun, and it kind of kills the sales because people just want to get on there and have fun, but then you always have those individuals that want to kind of ruin it for everybody.
Right. You're right. No. So you said that you feel like the build that you're playing and the build that they launched today, you feel like it's pretty close. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you this, because Micah's agreed to come on this podcast. And I want to make sure that I'm not wasting time with him asking questions that you could answer. So, and I know that you're obviously not allowed to answer some things.
Yes.
And so if I ask this question, you're not allowed to tell me. Totally understand. So I love weather games.
Yes.
I know that there's no commentary that's going to get added later at the time. I don't care about that because half the time I'll play Madden and I'll just listen to the PA announcer. And I know they have a PA announcer, so I'm fine with that. Yes. But do they currently have weather, or is that something that they're going to add down the line? Or can you not answer that?
As of now, there is no weather.
Okay.
There will be weather down the road.
Weather down the line. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, that's fine. And I know that they're going to add stuff, you know what I mean? And that's one of those things, like they're treating it like a live service game, which is what a lot of people have been asking Madden to do, because a lot of, for the many years, I mean, there's been a couple years where the leap has been significant enough where you probably couldn't have treated it as a live service game. But for many years, Madden was called a roster update with changes so subtle that you're like, this could have just been a patch. And they're like, why did I need to go buy $60 when I could have just kept the same thing and updated a patch? And Maximum's now proving with their model of, we're going to be able to add commentary, we're going to be able to add weather, we're going to add animations, we're going to add this, we're going to add this, we're going to add this. They are proving that the live service model of a game could be done, and we don't know their form of making money for it, whether it's subscription. I don't care at this point. I'm gonna support it. But I feel like Madden could do the same thing, and it's like, you would charge X amount of dollars for the yearly upgrade one time, and then you would still have the ability to make extra money off of their current existing forms of revenue that they make in Madden. And that way people don't always have to constantly delete a game, download a game, just patch in your new stuff. That's what Warzone does. And, that game's like 200 gigs and Madden doesn't even touch some of the other sports games in storage sizes. 2K is like 3 times the size. And I just don't understand why Madden isn't,
That's funny you say. Like, I have a theory on Madden. Like, I always tell everybody, between the years of the end of 2K, 2005 to 2008, Madden was, pretty much at its apex. And then we get to 2013, Madden was still okay by everybody. But I feel that once college football went away, it kind of took that zip from Madden, because college football, people always played that. It had its atmosphere. You loved it. And Madden didn't have all the atmosphere, but that's what you would expect from a professional style game. So I think that we're getting ready to see a lot of things that people aren't expecting from Madden. With the return of college football, I 100% believe that you're going to see a huge improvement in the quality of Madden, because it's been since 2013, Madden's been the only player in the game, and that's why it receives all the hate that it does.
Well, for me, the first step of what killed Madden, because I think Madden 10 was, you can argue it's the greatest Madden of all time, right there with 05. In my opinion,
yes,
Ian Cummings put out a freaking masterpiece as far as gameplay is concerned. It still didn't have the franchise depth that 05 did with Tony Bruno show and stuff like that. But
that's funny you say 05.
That's on PlayStation 1. That's not even the PS2 version.
Oh yeah, this is the PC version.
It's PC version. Okay.
Yeah, it was a 2-discer.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's crazy. But the two things, in my opinion, that really killed off Madden in the last 10 years was, number one, the introduction of connected franchise.
Yes.
That killed it, because Madden 12 was the last Madden to have the full-blown create a team, create a stadium, all that stuff. And in 13, they scrapped it all. However, when they scrapped everything from a connected franchise, that was the year that they introduced real-time physics. And so then it carried over to 13 or 14 for both NCAA Football 14 as well as Madden 25, which got the Ignite engine upgrade on PS5. And let me tell you, Madden 25 PS4 holds up.
Yes.
Now, Madden 15, So the graphics on Madden 15 that's when they made the huge jump graphically. Yes. Madden 25 on PS4, it was an improvement over the PS3, but you could tell they didn't know how to unlock the graphics. Madden 15, it was a huge jump graphic-wise, but there was a couple gameplay issues that 25 didn't have. I think gameplay-wise, 25 is better. Graphic-wise, Madden 15 is better. Madden 16 could have been great, but you had the way overpowered aggressive catch.
Thank you, Beckham.
But even still, 16 was still great because of the real-time physics. But then, and it was great for the real-time physics. They still had, and I made a video on this, I don't know if you saw it, the franchise still had features in it that we don't have now. Yeah. For example, when a team put a player on the trade block, it showed up in your news feed that the Pittsburgh Steelers are shopping so-and-so. If you're interested in making an offer, now you actually have to go into the trade block screen and see who's there instead of you being alerted that teams are shopping a player around. Practices. They weren't just you go on the field and you just run a bunch of random plays until you get bored. You would pick the scenario that you want to practice. It loaded you into the practice dome and you had to execute that scenario. And if you executed it, you got a bonus. If you failed, you didn't get anything. But it was real situational football that you were practicing in practice mode. Now our practice mode is you just go in there and you practice running plays, whatever you want to. There's no real rhyme or reason. There's no flow. There's no nothing. And then outside that, you have your mini games. That's it. So you had those features that were better. You had the Twitter feed on the side that was better. And then when you throw in the presentation that Madden all the way through 16 had, it was the CBS style with the replays, the on the field graphics, the Jim Nantz and Phil Simms commentary, which is still, in my opinion, the greatest commentary Madden's ever had. And then they got rid of all of it with 17. They canned Phil Simms and Jim Nantz for Brandon Gaudin and Charles Davis, which they don't even work together, which takes away. It was just as stupid as putting Gus Johnson with Chris Collinsworth. You know, like
I didn't understand that one.
I didn't understand that. I understand that they wanted to get away from Tom Hammond.
Yeah.
And they had Chris already there, and they're like, we'll just throw in Gus, but we'll keep him there. And I was just like, you had the CBS style everything. They got rid of it for 17. Then they brought in Frostbite, which got rid of real-time physics for animations. And it just all went downhill, man.
Yeah, the Frostbite engine's what kind of did it for me, because like I played a lot of first-person shooters, and I knew that engine is made specifically for first-person shooters, and to try to make it fit for Madden
it made the graphics look good. It made the graphics look good, but nothing else. And the thing is we're 8 years ago, because I've been complaining. We've had the same commentary team for 8 years, and I just don't feel like they really understand how to do commentary, because 2K has had the same commentary team for over 15 years. And you don't hear people complaining about 2K's commentary because, number one, they have special people rotating through, but 2K knows how to put together commentary that stays fresh and exciting, and that's how they get away with having the same commentary crew for as long as they've had it.
Yeah, well, we've had the same commentating crew now for over almost like 5 years.
8 years in Madden.
8 years, yeah. That's just that's what happens when you have the vacuum of no competition. It kind of makes you kind of rest on, like, not even competition from their own studio. Like, that's what gives me hope with college football coming back, because if I'm a developer, there's no way I'm going to have a game drop before me. And college football is going to drop in July, and then I follow that, and I'm going to follow with the same garbage that I have for previous years. So, like, I think this is if you're a football gamer, this is a very good time to be alive, because you're getting ready to see competition like we've never seen before. And, EA needs to kind of watch and make sure that they get back to that standard, what they need to have, because games like Maximum, Elite Sports Gaming, those games are going to start they're never going to take the whole market, but they're going to start impeding upon that Madden market. They're not going to be making the money like what they're accustomed to, where we can throw anything out there and people will buy it. That's not going to be the case from here going forward.
Yeah. I'm excited for Madden, whatever they're going to call it this year.
Yeah.
I think they're just going to honestly, so I can't remember who posted it, of what do you think they're going to call the new Madden game this year, because 25 was 10 years ago. I posted that I think they're just going to call it Madden Football.
Yeah,
they're just not going to. You can't skip it and call it Madden 35 and just go another 10 years, and nobody celebrates 35-year anniversaries. And you're not going to see them call it Madden 25 again, most likely. So I think they're just going to call it Madden NFL Football. I really do. I think they're going to skip a year this year. I guess we'll find out. But I'm hopeful for two reasons. Number one, we know that when NCAA was being made, that the two dev teams shared resources. And we know that NCAA football got built from the ground up on brand new code, whereas Madden has been using the same code for over a decade.
Same legacy issues.
Yeah. This game got built from the ground up, which means I know Madden's going to steal, take it. And that means that they're 100%. So I'm really excited for what that's going to bring.
You'll find out a lot about that come June. In June, we were talking today, me and Kwasi, about the crossover that's going to happen. Because usually in June is when Madden starts to ramp up, 2 months out, just like college football is doing in May. And I think they're going to use the opportunity of June to explain how Madden connects to EA college football. And you're going to get to see a lot of the draft classes, superstar mode, road to glory. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, and Madden's always, the last couple of years now, they've dropped their beta in the beginning of June, beginning to middle of June, and it's always ran through roughly 4th of July weekend.
Yes.
And historically, NCAA football would always come out like that second Tuesday of July, pretty much, whatever it fell on. And so I can't imagine EA running Madden beta all the way up to right when NCAA football comes out. And is NCAA football not going to drop a beta? That would seem interesting. But I wonder if Madden's going to move up their time frame for that beta.
They might have to, because I know they're going to want at least a month buffer between them and anything that has to do with college football. Because here's the weird thing, and nobody's talked about this. College football in itself could cut into the sales of Madden. And I know this is something they probably thought about, because there's a lot of people that are going to buy college football that over the past couple of years have been forced to buy Madden because it's the only football game on the market. So it's like I said, they're really going to have to bring something to the table, not to have sales taken out of their pocket, because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to get college football in their.
I think you're going to see that there's going to be a huge connection with the draft class importation, and they got to make it work right, because in the past, you could bring your draft class in from NCAA to Madden, but the good players in NCAA, when you export them, it just reassigned everyone how good they were going to be. So you could have your Heisman winner who was a 99 overall you export it, and he could have been worth a 6th round pick. There was nothing there to it, so they got to do it right this time.
Yes.
I do know. I'm very confident anyway. We're gonna get year 9 of Brandon Gaudin and Charles Davis, but then Charles Davis announced that Madden's gonna have multiple commentary teams this year.
He slipped.
I know he slipped, but I hope I hope it's 2 extra.
Yeah.
2 extra.
Believe it or not, I wouldn't mind having Gus back, because Gus is quite entertaining.
He was phenomenal. And the only reason they got rid of him was because they got the Jim Nantz and Phil Simms, which I totally understand. And they were great together too. But what sucks is Gus doesn't even call NFL games anymore.
I know. He does college primarily.
He does college. So
I still remember his line. He's running like he stole something.
But so the thing is, he works for FS1, and they have the ESPN license. So I just don't now that obviously Brandon Gaudin and Charles Davis both work for Fox. Yeah. So maybe even though they have the ESPN license, EA doesn't seem to use it, because why wouldn't you have ESPN commentators? You have the ESPN license.
Well, I think you're gonna get Kurt Herbstreit. I think Kurt
for college.
And I think for Madden too, because
I would love to have him, and I don't think Brad Nessler's coming back. I would love to Gus Johnson and Kirk Herbstreit, man.
Yeah, because Herbstreit does the prime games, doesn't he, on for the NFL?
Yeah, but you can't have Gus Johnson be on there, who works for Fox Sports, saying, so and so for ESPN, because they've always had the ESPN integration on the NCAA games since they got that license, and so. I guess we don't know if they're going to use it or not. EA likes to just pay for a license and not use it for whatever reason. So
which is crazy, because you remember the college basketball game where you used to have the CBS and the ESPN?
The last one. That was NCAA 10, man. They had the CBS and I'm like, why would you go away from doing that?
It makes you wonder who's sitting in the room making these decisions, because I'm not a huge college basketball fan, but that game had me. Just from the different presentation styles, because it just really made me feel like I was in there and playing it and want to play it. Just something as simple as that.
The atmosphere was phenomenal.
Yes,
it was amazing, man, and it's crazy. EA hasn't used the ESPN license in a game since NBA Live 19. I think that was the last one. 19.
Yeah, because it was failed. It made it out, and then it was just so bad that they
honestly, it wasn't that bad, man. When I say it wasn't that bad, I don't know about the actual 5-on-5 franchise gameplay, but I do know that their My Career mode wasn't bad. I actually liked it over 2K's that year.
Wow, really?
If you've never played whatever the last NBA Live was, let me look it up here. You can almost you can get it for free on the EA subscription thing.
See, I want to say 18.
It's NBA Live 19. Let's go. My Career. Hold on, we're gonna show you this here. And there's some really, I like the shot meter on it. The animations were really good.
See, it's so funny. Back in the day, I used to be honestly an EA fanboy.
This is the video. It was by Brother Jones. He said, "Everyone back to NBA Live. It's better than 2K." He dropped it. He dropped this video. I'm gonna mute it. We don't need to hear the audio on. I'm gonna skip forward here so you can see some of the gameplay. So again, this was this was Live 19. This is the last game. Their builder was really good. The way that they didn't have the same modes that 2K has, as far as they have park, but they didn't have the rec system. This is how it looked like. So you set up your outfits. You could be light colored clothes and dark clothes for the parks. You'd have different outfits depending on what you were. And here's some gameplay, man. I'll just let it play while we talk, so you can see. Let me share my screen so you can see it. But it was really, really good, really smooth, a lot of cool animations. They had a really, like I said, I like the jump shot meter that they had, the badge system they did. I played quite a bit of this, and it was really fun. It was more fun than 2K19. I don't know how much you played Park or whatever, My Career, but
I played a little bit of the Park. See, I never really. That's funny that you're showing this. I never dabbled into NBA 19, because I Live 19. I just heard bad things about it, so I never picked it up.
I think the bad things were the franchise 5 versus 5 actual gameplay, but this right here, these modes that they had, she had the 3-on-3, and you had all the various parks around the country. You get Venice Beach, you had Rucker Park, you had all these, whatever the one in Chicago is called, that you play at.
Now. I mean, this still looks good.
Yeah, it was great graphically. And then they had the 5 versus 5 mode. It was the Drew League. And you play 5 versus 5 games in the Drew League. Let's see. I think he shows some in this video here. So yeah, he was doing it here. The way you ranked up was pretty cool too. You didn't need to spend a ton of money. So, there's different courts right here. But you could get 5 versus 5 gameplay. It was really fun, man. Like the different builds and like how you played the game, the animations. It was great, and I really am disappointed they didn't continue to build off of it, because it was obviously like it was good enough to be built off of. Yeah. And even if they didn't release a full NBA game like with the full 505, they just would have released something like this and continued going with it.
I think they got a little bit scared with like, you know, the emergence of the park and everything that like 2K did. I know that 2K's actual in-game franchise and the smoothness of it all, that was the big seller to a lot of my friends. They said, it's just so much smoother and way more fluid, and it operates more like basketball than what Live does. And I always, just like I told you, I was an EA fanboy.
See, the 3v3 gameplay here, it felt more realistic than 2K, and even watching it here, it looks more realistic than what 2K 3v3 is now. With the way the players move and dribble and things like that, man, it's just more realistic. I would tell you, if you've never done it, I don't know if you have the EA subscription for $5, but if you, I would tell you just spend the $4.99 for 1 month. Download NBA Live 19, it's on there, and don't fire up the franchise 5 versus 5. Just go in. It's called the One or something like that. And they got guys like Stephen A. Smith is in there, stuff like that. You know, that's when they used ESPN. And yeah, man, and just go into the One, build yourself a guy, and just play some of that mode a little bit. And I think you'll be really pleasantly surprised.
I want to take you up on that. I do have EA Play.
Yeah. So it's 100%. It was worth it. But that's the last game that I can think of that they had in ESPN licensing that is shameful, because we know that they had the NBC license in NHL, and then they dropped that, and they don't make a baseball game anymore. So it's like,
it's kind of wild what they do with NHL. I have friends that play NHL, and it's almost like that game doesn't even exist. As much as I like see it, like I'm out on the net and looking at other people's videos, it's a very seldom that I do run across an NHL video. You know, they even promote that game. You hear nothing about it almost. And it's like when like hockey season's around, like, you know, FIFA, you know, we get our big reveals and trailers for that. You get it for Madden, and NHL's kind of like, it's like a forgotten sport. It's kind of wild when you think about it.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. Like NHL doesn't get, but they have their community. You know what I mean? That you know, and they have their EA SHL mode, which doesn't cost any extra money, which I think is crazy to me. Like you have 2K's My Career, takes so much money, plus they have Ultimate Team, and then you have Madden as their Ultimate Team, but then you have Madden Superstar mode, which the yard was really, really fun. I wish they'd expand on it. I wish there'd be more than just the yard. Give us a couple more options with that, but that didn't take any extra money.
No.
And and the EA SHL is their bread and butter.
Yeah.
You know. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, so kind of circling back to, you know, Madden and 2K, because those are the big dogs of the sports gaming community right now. What are some things you'd like to see from 2K for this next year's game? And then obviously we've already discussed, we know that we're going to get some extra commentary teams from Madden, which should help the immersion, although they need to bring us the weather effects back that they used to have, because snow games in Madden are just, it's disastrous. It's pitiful what they give us. We need some more immersion. What are some other things you'd like to see from from both Madden, whatever they call it this year, and 2K?
Well, from Madden, the presentation cruise, which we talked about, and I would just like to see a little bit more focus on the coaching. And I mean, you go all that way to have coaching staffs in the game, but yet I'm dealing with generic, coaches. And to make the ability for franchises to run longer, like we had our own franchise that we were running, and once you get about, this sounds crazy, about 35 years into your franchise, you run out of a coaching pool. Like there's no assistant coaches to hire, so you can't go any further than that. So they definitely need to fix that. The weather, which you were talking about, I want to see a lot more immersion and just to tweak some things as far as the gameplay, so it operates a little bit more like real football, and get rid of the legacy issues. Now with 2K, that's a wild question. So I honestly, it's almost like they've done everything in that game. You can go back and you can play in certain eras. You can go back to certain draft classes. You got the presentation modes. You have the park. I really don't know where else they can go with it outside of it.
I'll tell you. We've got some issues, my friend. They got some issues, man. So to build up what you said, they've given a lot of features to us. That's big time facts. However, they give us a lot of features that kind of pulling the A that they don't actually test. And they don't realize they don't work properly. So, number one, if you were to get off this podcast episode with me, go fire up 2K24, and you were just going to go start a franchise, and you left every setting at default. You didn't touch a thing, right? Follow me. And you just took control of whoever you wanted. Doesn't matter. And you simulated the season. Okay? No big deal. Simulate the season. You simulate the off season. You get to the next season. And you simulate another season. Let's just say you decided you wanted to simulate 3 seasons to shake up the NBA before you got in and started playing. You'd get to year 2, simulate just 2 years. And you'd go see that the base game, which has, I believe, 128 players rated between 80 and 99 overall, which, when you think about it, there's 30 NBA teams. And if you know what you get where I'm going with here, that's an extremely high amount of players rated between 80 and 99 for 30 teams, 5 players per team that start. So of 150 possible starters, you have 128 of them are rated 80 or better. So the roster ratings inflation at default is sky high. 2 years in on default settings, that number should be pushing 200.
Yes, it does.
Okay. Now, what that causes, because Mike Stauffer, who did great work on OS when he was Edwards Roy 19, Braylon Edwards Rookie of the Year 19, has just completely shit the bed as far as putting any effort to what he's doing, because he puts together these ratings, but he doesn't test to see how it impacts anything going forward. So you simulate 2 years on default settings in 2K, you're going to be pushing 200 players rated between 80 and 99. So then you have inflated talent of players in the 2K database, which means a couple things. Number one, all teams are good. There's no talent dispersion, which is not true today's NBA. Look at the Pistons. Look at the Wizards. Look at the Spurs. We got the Hornets were 10 and 40. You know what I mean? Like, that's, you can't, you got to have talent dispersion. You can't have it so top heavy like that. And we know that 80 overalls are like you're like, oh, he's an 80 overall. Like 80's always kind of been like, that's a pretty good player in 2K. But the other thing it affects is contracts and what players want for money, because they don't scale it. So what's going to happen is you're going to simulate 2 years, and not only are you going to have all these 80 to 99 overall players, 80 overall to 99, but now you have all these players that want more money, but the teams can't afford it. So you're going to go into the free agent pool, and you're going to find 2 to 3 teams worth of talented players rated in the 80s sitting there unsigned because they want money that they're worth based on their overall, that no team, because they don't know how to manage their cap and sign these guys, can afford them. So you have all these talented players sitting in free agency going unsigned. And they're not going to sign for the league minimum. They're not going to sign for a little bit just to get on a team. They just go unsigned. So you have all these guys just chilling in the free agency pool. And it only gets worse as you continue. And this is using their default settings that they put in the game, regardless of what people like myself do to try to fix it. Now, I go ahead and I do what I can to try to fix it, to try to maintain I decrease the overalls just with the intangible rating, just help spread things out a little bit. And then I have my different progression sliders and settings to help maintain that type of balance. But the boomer bust system is really cool in concept, but there's also, when you realize and you do enough of these sims, there's absolutely zero logic behind a boom or a bust. So you could literally have a guy win MVP at 23 years old, but 2K is randomly going to assign him, because you can have, I don't know if you've looked in a player, but they'll get a number assigned to them for boom percentage, and then there's a regular one, and then there's a bust percentage, right? There's 3 different ones. They'll get a number assigned to each one of what that likelihood is. And you could have a guy who's got like a 15 bust, and he's got like a 60 boom, and then like a whatever the other number is, right? And he could be 24 years old, and he could win MVP in your franchise. But the RNG system could just randomly hit, even though he was 15 bust, it could randomly hit that offseason, and he decreases 3 or 4 overall. Wow. With no rhyme or reason to it. He just won MVP. So the boomer bust system, I think, is cool, but there has to be some rhyme or reason. There has to be something there, that goes along with it. It can't be completely random. You can't have a guy win an MVP and then having the bust part hit him. So 2K's got a lot of work to do with their roster progression system, because if they're going to drop 128 players in the default roster between 80 and 99, okay, I'll live with that if I don't simulate 1 to 2 years and that number inflates to 200. If you have a system in place that can maintain that balance for 15, 20 years, you're going to have like a plus. You could have a situation where, okay, the league inflates a little bit, it goes up, there's a plus 10 in that spread, but maybe there's another year where you go down 10 and you're down to like 110, 115 as the league talent changes. I'm fine with that. But you also then have to make sure that the 2K implements logic for CPU teams to sign these players. You have to adjust the types of money that these players want for these overalls. 80 used to always be okay, that's a good player. But with all these inflated ratings, 80 isn't that anymore. Now it's like 87, 88. So they need to scale the types of money that 80, 82, 83, 84 overall players want to prevent these cap issues from happening. So yes, they give us tons of features, they give us these really cool things, but even with the sliders and stuff that you can go in there and tune, as I've done, you still run into issues of the boomer bust system affecting players too randomly, and you still run into the cap issues of teams not knowing how to sign players or manage their money, and you still have talented players being left to the free agency pool. You almost have to take control of all 30 teams to make sure it doesn't happen. And so
it's almost like they're falling victim. Like any sports game, and I hate to keep on going back to this, but when you don't have competition and you're not paying attention to core features like that, core things that are like honestly like game breaking, like in my opinion, when you have scenarios like that break out, we want more features, we want more things like the park, we want all that, but most importantly, we want a core franchise that functions like it's supposed to, progression that functions like it's supposed to, a bell curve on player talent, an ebb and flow that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Based on, and I think that a lot of these games are getting away from that. Sometimes I think that, we ask for too much. And instead of them being focused on, okay, we're going to keep on fleshing out this franchise. Let's run it out. Let's make sure this player progresses the right way. Let's make sure the contract negotiation plays out like it's supposed to. A perfect example of this is, do you play Undisputed Boxing? They have
PC only, right?
Yes, right now it's an early access.
Yeah.
And they have their negotiation and the way that you progress in the game. And I used to be a big Fight Night fan, and I love how fight negotiations work. There's no guarantee. You can have rematch clauses. You can ask for so much money, and you offer it to fighters, and based on where they're at, they can either accept it or deny it. And the negotiations totally just shut down. There's no loophole, and they're really taking their time with this feature to make sure that it works, correctly and gives the game longevity.
Yeah. I liked what you said with Madden about the coaching staffs. I would like to see them expand upon it and have more than just the offensive, defensive coordinators. I'd like to see positional coaches as well. I wish they would also add a lot of fake ones, kind of like 2K has, just prevent that issue that you had that you spoke of happening. But outside of that, right now in Madden, other than the skill trees, your coaches don't matter.
No, you're right.
And I think that's ridiculous when you go back to older Maddens where your coaches had profiles to them, right? Yes. So it'd be it'd be like it was coaching philosophy, and you could go back to this in NCAA Football 14. Coaches had coaching philosophies. You had your playbook specific, but then you had your coaching philosophies, and it'd be how many carries per game are they going to try to give the running backs. You could instantly split up your running back 1 versus RB2 carries. Yeah. You could go up your offensive play calling, aggressive, conservative, defensive play calling. You could adjust all this type of thing that would have, so when you played different coaches, it was, you could tell, okay, we're playing against an aggressive style coach. He's blitzing, like the Chiefs are an example. Steve Spagnuolo is a very aggressive defensive coach, and Andy Reid's aggressive offensively. So you would feel that, versus you would go against another coach who's very conservative in the way they play the game and attack the game or something like that, right? And then you can see if, we'll take it back to like 3 years ago, Derrick Henry was the bell cow, and he was getting all the 30 carries a game. You'd have that RB1 setting to like 90-95 for percentage of carries for the Titans with Derrick Henry, and the spellback would get very few. Yes. Then you would find another team that, like the 49ers, who have always before they got McCaffrey, split the carries up pretty well between Mostert and McKinnon back then and all those guys. You'd have that closer like a 45-55 split or a 60-40 split or whatever. You'd see the difference in that. They need to bring back coaching philosophies, number one. And then playbooks, man. Like, they need to redo playbooks, because right now you have 500 plays in a playbook in their play calling star system, which is a disaster. Only has about the same 35 plays in it that get called. And so you're constantly being suggested the same plays, regardless of who you're playing, regardless of down or distance, regardless of scenario. There's no way to change that. Like,
it's even like that. It's even like that when you play in the just sim mode, where you're just like simming in the game and watching it. Like, we've gone into it, and the computer has a certain set of plays that it's going to run on third and this. Like, so you see the same things run repeatedly, and there's no difference. Like, we have our sim league, and we try to change up the playbooks, different philosophies, and when you watch, it really doesn't seem like it matters or has any.
It only matters if you have a custom playbook. This is what I've had to do the last couple of years of Madden, and it's really time consuming, so it's frustrating. Is you can either grab a custom playbook from Madden Share, or you can just use the playbook that's in existence for the team, but you have to go in and edit it. And the only fix that I have found for this is to go in and initially look at all the plays that are in the first down, second down. Make sure there's no plays that are set for first down, also in second down. So make sure a play is only assigned to 1 or 2 potential downs, right? That's number one. So it's always honestly easier to start from scratch because then you can kind of control it.
Yeah.
But number 2, give every play a 1-star rating.
So
no, seriously, if you go through and you make sure, if you're just going through and you're assigning plays, you're like, all right, I like this stretch play. We're going to put it in there for first down plays, and then I'll also put it in for red zone. So it's only going to come up on first downs and potentially in the red zone. But you give it a 1-star. And then you just go through, and every single thing that you do for down and distance, all plays are evenly dispersed 1-star. So there's not a certain play that's favored over another in that grouping. So if you put 45 different plays in your playbook that are going to be only called on second and long scenarios, and they're all 1-star, when you get in that second and long scenario, you're going to see a new play suggested to you every single time.
You're not going to have that repetitive. So like, okay, here comes there's that play again. Okay,
yep. And they need to fix that, because I love coaching suggestions, and I loved it on Madden 25, for example, where they'd have the coach suggestion, or you could ask Madden, but you could also be like, I want an aggressive play call, or I want a conservative play call, or you could flip through, do you want to run, do you want to pass, do you want aggressive, do you want conservative, do you want to ask Madden? And going through and playing back on Madden 25, PS5 version or PS4 version, the play call suggestions were so much more dynamic. I wasn't seeing the same plays being called, and they used to have it where the coordinator would talk to you and tell you what play we're going to run. And I think EA is missing a huge opportunity with playbooks, with how poorly they're put together.
Oh, you remember the game NFL head coach?
Copy and paste it.
Yes, exactly, 100%. Why that has never been merged into Madden is 100% beyond me.
Playbook knowledge is oh my god, for franchise. Playbook knowledge. We're telling me I can just go trade for a quarterback midseason. He comes in, he knows every single play right away, week 1.
Yeah, no, that's not how it works.
No,
no, that's not how it works. And coaching does not matter in Madden. And I feel strongly about it because I was a football coach for over 20 years on the high school football level.
Yeah. And
I know how important coaching is in actually developing players, developing your system. Madden tries to have it with the scheme fits, and they did a good job with it. I don't know if you can remember, I think it might have been Madden 2010 or 12, where they first started out with the scheme fits and the chemistry. You could have every good player on your team, but if that chemistry didn't work, they weren't going to perform well on the field. And I always like that variable. I could have a whole bunch of 85, 89 plus players on the field, but they might just not go out and execute because they don't have good chemistry. They're not all, scheme fits.
I like the scheme fix, but they did the scheme fix too extreme because, okay, so you run let's just say you run a vertical power run, okay? So that means, according to Madden, that every single one of your backs needs to be a power back. When you see in today's game, they always have a bruiser, they have a pounder, and a finesse guy.
Yes.
That's the wave. And then on top of that, if you're in a vertical power run, that means you're stretching the field. So they want you to have vertical deep threats. So that means at receivers 1 through 5, they all need to be an archetype of deep threat. And it's
that doesn't make no
ridiculousness.
Yes, that makes sense.
The lack of thought in ingenuity, I don't know the word is, into
innovation.
Thank you. I was struggling. For schemes makes no sense. A power zone, a vertical power run game. Yes, you're gonna take deep shots. It doesn't mean you want to have all 5 of your wide receivers be deep threats, because what are you gonna do? Just run 4 verts all game, off play action? Well, you need guys who can work the middle of the field. You need guys who can work the sidelines. You need guys who can go make those tough catches. That's all part of it. And you're punished if you don't have all vertical deep threat wide receivers because of that scheme that you're running. And
it should only apply to the guys that are paramount to run that scheme. Like I would say your quarterback, your halfback number one, your wide receiver, and your offense and defensive line. Everything else should be a different to allow people to express themselves more. Like I could run like a West Coast type scheme, but I should be able to fit in power run or a little bit of West Coast. Allow people to add a little bit of diversity into what they're, let me wield it. Like the base could be a West Coast offense, but within that.
They had that. Do you remember? It was a couple years ago. You got to pick what scheme you wanted. What did you want for wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3? You could be like, okay, I want wide receiver 1 to be a possession receiver. I want wide receiver 2 to be my deep one. You could set that. You could set if you wanted your running back to be power. They had all that, and then they got rid of it, and that just drives me crazy. And so it's like, fix that. Archetypes have to go. They got to take out archetypes. If you can't do it right, get rid of it, because Madden's gameplay is 100 times better in play now than in franchise mode. And the difference is because franchise has these stupid archetypes that do not work properly and mess up the game that Play Now does not have. Play Now doesn't recognize archetypes. Why do they need to be in franchise mode? They're not in Play Now. The players play so much better when they're not forced to play. When a quarterback's in Play Now, aren't forced to be a strong arm or a scrambler or improvise. They just get to play to their ratings. Man,
get rid of abilities. I think
abilities 100%.
Yeah, that was one of the worst things that they ever did, because it honestly makes ratings not matter. Like, okay, like he already has 89 hands. What else does he need? All the other attributes. Like they should have, like possession catch should be its own attribute. Like all these stats should build up to what a player can do well and not make a player unique, instead of just having a player like, okay, his catching is just 99. So, like, to me, as a football, that makes no sense. I have some guys that were good at jumping up and catching high balls. Some guys were better at making possession catches. Some guys were just like, add that kind of, separation in the game to make players feel more unique. Catching should not just be one overall stat or attribute. Catching should be broken down into several types of catches.
And I want to rephrase my statement, because you said you want abilities taken out of the game, and I said I agree with you. I want to rephrase that, because 2K added badges to distinguish players, and for the most part, they're doing a good job of it. What Madden failed to do with their abilities is 2K's badges are not absolute. They are bonuses. Increased chance here, increased chance here, boost to this, boost to that. Madden's abilities live in a world of absolutes when there's no absolutes in life. So, when his ability's activated, he has perfect accuracy on the run. When his ability's activated, he cannot be intercepted. When his ability's active, he will not fumble the ball. When he's all these, they're 100% arcade abilities for online, and I'm okay with that. You want to cater to your online community, fine, but don't make the abilities be the same for franchise simulation guys as they are for your arcade players. Our only options then are to turn off abilities altogether, because if we keep abilities on, you get players that play arcadish because the abilities are arcadish. Just like home field advantage effects. Amazing idea. They live in a world of absolutes. They make no sense.
Bad implementation.
Bad implementation. Great idea, bad implementation. It's a story of my life with Madden, bro.
Yes, but I always thought that abilities should be more of a extra animation set. If you want to make a player feel more unique, like if I'm Barry Sanders should be the only person that's able to do said type of spin move. Like, give something to a player that the player really has, instead of some obscure thing like it says when he gets hot he fumbles or outside KO, or like that makes no sense. The ability that you should give the player to be what the player actually does. Like the year you said when they introduced the aggressive catch, Odell Beckham should have been the only person that was able to perform that catch that season, but every single player in the game was able to have that same exact animation, which automatically makes Odell Beckham not feel unique anymore.
So you want them to do animation started certain like 2K does?
Yes.
I would love if they did that. I think that's a great idea. If they switched more to like the weapon system of Madden 09 versus
yes.
Huh?
I remember when you say the weapon system of 09, that's I remember that.
Yeah. I really think too that EA needs to spend some time and actually give players real tendencies. A tendency of, does he go for aggressive catches? Does he throw tight spirals? Does he reach for extra yards? Like, those aren't real tendencies. You're just saying yes or no. Like, give tendencies, like on a 0 to 100 scale, player tendencies for various things to make players truly play unique. It's not that hard.
We're there now, and start incorporating AI. And the thing I told somebody, like, say you have a player like Burfitt, who's a hothead. I would like to see where certain players have a tendency to get you more penalties because they do foolish things on the field. Like a player that has a tendency to hold, that should be inherent to make him feel like that player. And there's like where AI is at, there's absolutely no excuse why we don't have these things in the game.
Not just AI, Pro Football Focus, man.
Yeah.
Why are the ratings
things they do all the time during games? What is it? Amazon Next Gen Stats.
Yep. Well, they pulled that. They used to have that.
Yeah.
They pulled it this year. Remember, they used to have the Next Gen Stats and
Yes.
stuff like that. Which that one doesn't really bother me. I just don't know why they pulled it. But it's like, you're gonna pull it, but you didn't give us anything in presentation to replicate it. And that's the thing too. They gotta really up their presentation, man. Like, I'll challenge you. If you have time when we get off this podcast, go fire up a game of Madden 24. Go and do a play now game. Okay, it doesn't matter who you play with. Just go into a play now game, and don't skip X. Just let or actually you can skip all the way through. Skip to when the either team, whether it's the CPU or you, runs out on the field. Don't press X. Let it play. It's going to pull up the quarterback, and it's going to show his stats from last year. Right? This is a play now game. And when the other team comes on, whether it's you or the CPU, the first time both quarterbacks come on the field, Madden shows a graphic of their 2023 stats. This is in play now mode. Okay? Fantastic. I love it. They show the stats from last year. Then you go into franchise mode, week 1, and you fire up that game in franchise mode. And the quarterback trots out on the field for the first game of the season. And guess what they show when they pull up the quarterback? It isn't his last year's stats. It isn't his college stats. It isn't his career stats. No, it's his arm strength rating, his awareness rating, his throw power rating, and his total overall. Like
what?
How does this get pulled up in franchise? But the one that really makes sense for franchise is what gets pulled up in play now. Just the lack of
attention to detail.
It makes me know that these guys don't play franchise mode.
No. Well, if they wouldn't have done anything with the big movement, remember when there was the hashtag fixed franchise, and that became
shout out Brian Zeke, unique Zeke.
No, I don't know. I just remember
he's the one who started it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's he's the guy who started it. He writes for
Well, I think they're a big salute, because honestly, without that, I don't think we would have got anything. Like, honestly, I don't think we would have got it, because at that point, franchise was an absolute joke. 100% joke.
Yeah. It was awful, man. I have a lot of ideas. Even if it doesn't have to be things really added in. It just be like, all right, let's just work with what you have here. Let's just fix it.
Yeah.
Let's fix what you have. Let's get rid of XP-based progression because it makes zero sense for how players progress. Because, like some NFL players who've complained about Madden have said, you don't get better because of how you performed, like during the game. You get better because you put in practice and film study.
Yes.
And yeah, Madden is the other way. You're encouraged to force handoffs to a guy, force touchdowns to a guy, force whatever to a guy.
It's a dev game. It's a dev game. I have to get him the ball X amount of times, and that's just not how that plays out.
Nope. Oh, this guy will only get an upgrade if he gets 150 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. So now your whole game plan isn't to win the game. It's you want that dev upgrade. So now you're just going to do whatever it takes to get him those yards and touchdowns. Which is beyond ridiculous.
Yeah, I've never in all my years of coaching gone up and looked at my starting quarterback and like, hey, for you to be better next week, I'm going to need you to throw about 4 touchdowns tonight and, run. Actually, 4 touchdowns and 350 yards, and you'll be a lot better next week.
According to Madden's logic, that running back for the Patriots that ran for 200 yards against the freaking Colts that one time and then just fell off the face of the earth, he would have got upgraded to superstar dev trait for that one 200-yard game or whatever it was.
Oh yeah.
And remember when Ajayi for the Dolphins had 2 or 3 straight games of 200 yards rushing, and he fell off the face of the earth? Could you imagine, based on Madden's theology of how players? He
would have been an X factor.
Would have been an X factor. He didn't even finish the season with the Dolphins, I don't think. I mean, it's just, there's no logic to it. It's just, let's just put this together as fast as we can and throw this. There's just no logic to how it needs. I mean, they need to go back to a system that MLB The Show uses, 2K uses, where it's a letter grade system. The letter grade can change, it can fluctuate. But you can't have XP-based progression. You can't have any sort of scenarios in the game where it's forcing you to do something particular in order for it to reward you with improvements.
They need to do what WWE 2K20 did. They need to take a year off or 2 years off and rebuild the game from the ground up, because I feel for them a little bit because they only have, maybe nine months, maybe actually less than that, probably about 4 or 5 months to actually address issues and get ready to put the next game out, just because it's a yearly release. That always bites them in the butt. So hopefully somewhere down the road, they go with the idea, hey, we need to take a year or 2 years off and just put out a roster update and rebuild this thing from the ground up.
Yeah. No, man, I agree with you. I think I think the NCAA development is going to improve with Madden, but again, it's just going to come down to the little things. Like we have horrible presentation in game, especially compared to what we got in Madden 25, Madden 15, Madden 16, with that CBS style, the commentary, the replay system. I made a video on it. I think you'd appreciate it. If you haven't seen it, I'll send it to you. Okay. I honestly think you'll really appreciate it. And that's just Madden 25 on PS4, but if they could just focus on the attention to detail and give us weather games, give us dynamic lighting, give us dynamic weather that we were promised we were supposed to get.
Do you remember when you were playing a season game based on what the weather was like in that part of the country, and this was even in a Play Now game, if it was snowing in Chicago,
you could do live weather. It was live weather.
Yes, if I was playing, it's snowing in the game, and it's like, that's the kind of stuff I'm like, hey, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
And that's when their snow was actual real snow, and you had fog in the game, and it felt like it was a weather game, Now you just got snow perfectly piled up on the sidelines, all the hashes and everything completely shoveled, and you can start in the first quarter and go to the fourth quarter, and there's no increase in snow, no change. It's just the same the whole game. Like,
you remember you remember, like, I remember how the field used to break down, like the rain games. Like, first half, the field looked nice and clean, but by the time you got to the fourth quarter, your uniforms had mud on them. The middle of the field was all worn down. Like, I miss those experiences from Madden, like that stuff to where, I'll put it to you like this. I used to love when I could play Madden and I wasn't focusing on playing somebody online or head to head. It was more of a game that I had fun having my own little personal franchise and being in my own world and feeling challenged by the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the online crowd is kind of watered down our experience, because without that, that's where, you get the mutt, you get the, well, hey, we need this, we need that. But whenever it wasn't an online connected game, they were more focused on what experiences can I give this person who's just buying this game and going to be playing it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
How can I give them the ultimate experience? And
right.
Like what you said, once they introduced a connected franchise, things kind of just, they didn't care about your immersion or your experience.
No, not at all. So we've kind of talked about a lot of games here, which is great. I love that. What games are you currently playing, like, right now? Like, what's in your rotation? I know it can change just like mine, but currently, what are you firing up and playing these days?
This is going to be wild. I'm playing Undisputed Boxing. I play quite a bit of Undisputed Boxing. An old game, City of Heroes. It's an MMO.
Oh, yeah, MMO. Yeah.
Yes, I've been playing a lot of City of Heroes, and I've also been playing a little bit of Destiny 2.
Destiny 2, okay. Is City of Heroes the only MMO you've ever played, or have you played some other?
No, I played Champions Online. I played World of Warcraft, EverQuest. I mean, like Elder Scrolls Online. I love MMOs.
Never played DCUO though, huh?
I played it once. It's weird. I'm like a Marvel fanboy. Like, I could show you like my comic book collection.
Mm-hmm.
I have,
but not DC.
Yeah, I have some DC comics, but I'm just a huge Marvel fanboy. I've been collecting comics ever since I've been 7 or 8 years old, and I have like probably about 15 or 16 comic book cases full of comics.
DCUO is really fun. I got into it in 2012, and I played it for like 3 years, really, really hard. Then they made some changes that I didn't really like. They ended up reverting them back, and the gameplay's in a really good spot. But what's kind of kept me from continuing to play it is it was a game that was built for PS3 and PC back then. It released on PS3. When it switched to PS4, you got a very, very, very subtle graphical improvement. The main thing you got was they were able to take advantage of the processing power for the extra storage, the load times, things like that. To the point where, they shut down the PS3 servers, and they had it the whole time on PS4, and now we're on PS5. They've been talking about a PS5 update since the launch. They've never dropped it. So for me, it's just really hard to play a game that was built for PS3 that's still actively dropping content in 2024, 15 years later, but they haven't done an upgrade to the graphics, they haven't done an upgrade to the physics, to anything. So you're just playing that game. You're not even getting the PS5 version. So I'm really waiting for them to drop the PS5 update. But let me tell you, man, even going through and just playing the story, even if you didn't play like the end game, which is obviously where the real game is, it's free. It's so fun, man. Villain or a hero? It's
actually
super fun.
Me and you were talking about this because we were talking about because MMOs playing on a controller was always kind of
yeah.
But I'll actually give it a shot.
You should, man. If you ever want to, I still got it downloaded on my external hard drive. I'll fire it up and I'll run through you. It's fun. You can play the whole story with somebody. Yeah, you can do the whole story. There's a couple solo missions you can't do, but for the most part, everything can be done with 2, 3, or 4 people. And you can go through up to level 55 before you really need to pay for extra content. So you can play a good chunk, and at level 55 you can still do 4-player missions. You got raids of 8 players. I mean, so there's still things that can be done to have fun. So it's a really fun game. I like the controls there. I wish there'd be some sort of improvement, graphically and physics based and stuff like that. So moving on, what made you want to become a content creator?
I would say it's my son, honestly. Like I told you, he started autosave gaming, and that's always been like our connection over the years. And it feels like it almost keeps me young, and just seeing his passion for it and really, getting his love for gaming out there to others, and me to be able to share my experiences with games and actually sharing content and interact with people. That's really the driving force behind doing it.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally understand, and I can relate to that for sure. What do you enjoy most about content creation?
Look, this is going to sound weird, but I still am an artist, and I honestly just love creating things.
Mm-hmm.
If I can create something that reaches somebody, helps them understand it, put something together for somebody, it's just the whole thing of just being able to create.
Yeah.
It's frustrating at times. Creating content is frustrating, but
it can be frustrating, it can be challenging. I've run into scenarios where I have tried to create something that I spent a lot of time, and I thought it was very difficult. It took a lot of time, and I thought it was really great, and then I posted it and nobody watched it. And then I have the stuff that I just throw together that doesn't take me hardly any time at all, because I'm just making a video showing off X, Y, and Z, and that'll do great as far as views. And so it's really going to be frustrating when you throw in a ton of work trying to edit and do all this stuff, and then the views aren't there. Then something you put hardly any work into, and it just gets all the views, and you're just like, oh my God.
You are so correct on that, because I can't tell you, there's been videos that I 100% spent almost a whole week on, edits, putting all this in, and you're like, all right, and you put it up there, and you're waiting, you look 3-4 views, and then there's something okay, let me hurry up, I just slap this together, and wow, this looks like crap. You put it up there, and it has a whole bunch of views, and you just
yeah, dude, it's one of those things that's you're trying to give to your community more. You're trying to put something that you think they'll appreciate, and it's for whatever reason they don't care about it. They like the other stuff that you did, which it's weird, but it is what it is.
Yes.
So what are your goals with your channel for 2024 and beyond? And do you have anything big right now in the works?
Yeah, we got a couple big things in the works. One of our main things is we're looking to get to 5,000 subscribers, keep on growing the channel.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the bigger things that we're working on is our maximum football leagues. We're trying to put together an entirely connected universe where you're going to be able to play in a high school league, and we want to transfer the high school players into our college football league, and then you'll be able to take those college football players and play in our pro league. So we'll have 3 leagues, kind of the way Quasi explained it. It's like a creek, a river, and the pro league is the ocean. They all flow together, and we're going to set up a Hall of Fame. So technically, you could take a player in high school, and if he progresses and you're in all 3 leagues over the course of so many seasons, at one point that player that somebody played with in our high school league will be in the pro league in maximum football, and you can create a legacy for them.
That's absolutely awesome, man. And if that's something that I can partake in on PS5, you can count me in.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I just don't know. You know more about the game than I do right now, as far as if it's gonna be cross-platform and whatnot and stuff like that. So that's why I say that. Are there any other content creators right now that you would like to link up with and make a project with?
Yes, the two main ones are Eric Rayweather and Rob Jefferson from Comics Explained. Like it's weird. Like Rob Jefferson, he has Comics Explained, his own channel, and then he has a separate channel. It's just Rob Explained, and he's done so much for me as just like a content creator and just over like as a person. Just a lot of stuff that he puts out with the passion he does. I would really like to work with those two people. And Eric Rayweather's awesome.
What would you like to do with Eric Rayweather?
Some collabs, some elite sports gaming football collabs, possibly some college football collabs,
like announcement videos, informational videos, or
just how-to videos, or just to sit down kind of like we are and just kind of like go back and forth. Like, he's just a very knowledgeable guy.
Just slide in those DMs, bro. You never know.
Yeah, that is true.
You guys, I mean, you never know what someone will say. I found out just when I wanted to relaunch this, because I did 2 episodes with Hollywood and Smitty, OG Smitty from Madden Community, from the Sim Standard from way back when. I did 2 episodes when I first did the podcast 2 years ago. Oh, wow. And then I just stopped. And now I was like, I want to relaunch this. I want to try to do something. And I was just sliding to everyone's DMs, and only 2 people said no. One of them just said, hey, they're just not comfortable talking in front of people or whatever. And the other one was, so he had last summer, he said he was down to come on the podcast, and never did it. And then I hit him up and asked him now, and he said, not right now. And that was Mole for EA, official Mole.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he said he would come on last summer, and I didn't just do the I just never brought the podcast back. So I hit him up to try to do it now. He said, not right now, not at this time. So hopefully, and I'm assuming he's just going full-blown steam in Madden right now, and he just doesn't have the time.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I was a nervous wreck doing this. Like, whenever you asked, I was like, yeah, I want to do this. And then all the day I was talking to my son, and I was told, I was like, I am a nervous wreck. I am an absolute nervous wreck about doing this.
I don't know why you're nervous, man. You make videos all the time, and you've been great. So I don't know.
It's just one of those things. That's like, it's weird because I've been on camera before. It's just like,
yeah,
because and I told him, I was like, we're like a group, and like I never want to do anything just to misrepresent us as a total group. And he's like,
oh no, yeah, no. I think you represented what you guys do. I mean, it's phenomenal what you guys do. You're a one-stop shop for every sports video game out there that's either available now or in development for their news. So it's a great place for people to go to stay up to date on everything, and that's needed. Instead of having to go and find 10 specific people that are only dropping information for like this, specific games.
Yes.
Who are some content creators that you enjoy watching?
Wow. Prioxis. Prioxis does a lot with Undisputed Boxing, UFC, and he's just extremely just entertaining to watch and destroying, who Coach K kind of turned me on to, and I watch a lot of he does a lot of short form content, a lot of sports themed stuff, and I find him extremely entertaining to watch.
Okay. Anybody else? A couple people, or is that your main 2 people that you like to watch?
The other ones are kind of nerdy. I watch Everything Always. He covers a whole bunch of Marvel stuff and emergency.
Nothing wrong with, dude. I watch it, dude. You've seen my YouTube intro, haven't you?
No.
Bro, you haven't seen my YouTube intro?
No.
All right.
Pull it up.
We're pulling it up right now. You think you're worried about being nerdy? And let me get this for you real quick here. Hold on.
Yeah, because Emergency Awesome a lot. Like, I'm a very big comic book nerd. I can't even tell you how much. If I could show you, I have like Incredible Hulk statues, Godzilla statues all over the place.
No, I'm a big I'm a big Marvel fan too. Hold on.
Not gonna lie, I like the music that you got playing too.
Yeah, it's cool. It's included. It's free. I love it. All right, let me share my screen here. I'm gonna have the audio on for this as well, so you should be able to hear it a little bit. And here we go.
It's a dig! It's caught! Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Bryant for the win! Bang! Watch out! He's got to get the wire!
You didn't know that was literally the Marvel intro.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying with the flipping and everything. I was like,
so when you're talking about you're being weird, worried about dropping nerdy stuff, dude. My intro is based off of Marvel, man. I'm a huge fan myself. So,
good. So now I feel at home.
Yeah. So you don't ever gotta apologize for watching, guys. Like, who cares, man? It's what you enjoy. That's what matters, man. Is doing what you enjoy in life, What advice would you have for others who are looking to get into content creation?
Be different and have patience. And it's one of the things that I used to always preach to my football teams. If you see a little, you see a lot. And if you see a lot, you see nothing. And it's always better go deep instead of wide. Like if you have something you have a passion for and you love playing football games and something else, instead of trying to please everybody else, try to please yourself and then give that to the audience. That's where you'll always find like the best results, when you're doing something that you have a unconditional passion for. And just never try to see everything, because if I could tell you the stories about when we started out and we were seeing everything and we saw nothing, and once we lensed down the scope and started trying, being passionate about our stuff that we were creating, that's when we started seeing results. So it's a journey. Content creation is a journey,
man. Like, and sometimes you just have to have timing. I mean, I'm not a big YouTube channel by any means, but I can tell you, I decided I wanted to really work hard on my YouTube channel in September of 2019. That's when I was just like, hey, I am going to try to do this. I'm going to try to grow my channel, right? And it was very, very slow. I worked from September, I did October, November, December, January, February, March. So 6 months with not very much growth. I got up to like 700, whatever subscribers. And I say this, I try to say this as lightheartedly as I can, because I don't ever want to offend people with this. But as horrible as COVID was, when I say the timing of it, because in April of 2020, my channel blew up. And I mean, blew up in relative to how many subscribers I had, because obviously, blowing up, people think of things. But I started like April 2020, like in the span of a week, because everybody was at home and they're playing video games. They started looking up 2K. I hadn't reached my YouTube requirements for monetization as far as subscribers or watch hours. And in 1 week, got both of them.
That's what we
because of my 2K content. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's weird because it's hard to get subscribers on YouTube. It really is, considering it's free and you just have to click that button. It is very difficult to get people to click that button. And I go through that too. When I look at how many views I have for certain videos and I look at my subscriber total, I'm like, there are so many people that are watching that aren't clicking subscribe. Yeah. And I literally, when I was pulling up your video, your page, and I was showing it, I was like, I can see you going through the same thing too. You got videos with 6,000-7,000 views, and if all those people were subscribing to you, so it's really challenging because getting subscribers is harder, but it's hard to do, but it's crazy because like once you start getting more subscribers, then you get more subscribers because for whatever reason, people don't want to subscribe to people unless they have subscribers.
Yes.
And so it's like, it's one of those circles. It's like people will subscribe to you if you have more subscribers, but they don't want to subscribe to you if you don't have those subscribers, but you can't get those subscribers unless they subscribe to you.
It's a crazy cycle. And what's so funny is last year at this exact time, our channel, we had 352 subscribers. And here it is like a year later, and now we're heading towards 4,000.
Yeah, you're growing like crazy, you know, and to just kind of to align with that, you know, my biggest growth I had like month over month as far as subscriber jump was April of 2020. Then I kind of had like a steady growth or a steady amount of like 140 or so is what I average a month. But I hit 10,000 on Christmas Day, and since Christmas Day I'm up 500. So you look at it, well, if I average on my YouTube analytics, YouTube Studio 140 to 150 a month, but Christmas Day was 6 weeks ago and I'm up 500. You know, that's a huge jump. And it's just like, and it's because it's that stupid circle, man. People will subscribe to you if you have numbers. You know what I mean? But you got to get them to subscribe to you to get those numbers. And
it's real because like your content is like awesome. It's like I tell you, like that's when we found you. We found you. Like, so it's funny you said that during COVID is when we were doing all the stuff with our leagues, and it was you and Jacob Reed. That's what everything we did was based off of you guys' sliders.
Yeah. And it's crazy, man. Like my league video for 2K20. My league video for 2K20 is the video that kind of like set my channel off and started getting me going. And obviously I have 10 times more subscribers now than I did then. And I've been dropping my NBA, my league settings videos every single year, whatever. That video from April 2020 is still my most viewed channel of all time.
Oh, wow.
Even though I have so many more subscribers now, and I have more people behind my back. Like that video came out with COVID, and you know, I only had like a couple hundred subscribers at the time, and people clicked on it, and I gained a lot of subscribers and everything. And then since then, I got, you know, like Pee Wee the Plug, who uses my content, and he's on Through the Wire, and he's a big name, and he shouts out my stuff all the time, and he's he pushes me. He got his cousin Kenny Beecham, you know, who's got 1 million subscribers on his main YouTube. He's got 200 something thousand on his second YouTube. He does Through the Wire, or it was Through the Wire, it's not anymore, but did the podcast with Pee Wee, and Pee Wee had him use my sliders in a video, and he posted a video and like he mentioned me in his video, and you know, dropped my link in there. So like getting even all these people just behind me and pushing me, like, and promoting me and stuff like that for 2K and Madden and stuff like that. And that video from 2K20 is still the highest viewed. It makes no sense, man.
Yeah. Well, here's what's funny. Our highest videos are video dropped by my son 2 years ago. Just 2 days ago, just hit 1 million views. And
you have a channel. You have a video that hit 1 million views on your channel.
Yeah, it's legally. If you go into the League of Legends, it's he caught Zach as one of the characters in League of Legends, and he caught Zach's crit animation, and apparently it's a rare thing. And when it happened,
oh yeah, I see right here, 1 million views. That's crazy.
Yes, and we didn't know what was going on, and just a couple days ago, it hit 1 million views.
That's wild. I don't know. I mean, it's only 30 seconds, but I don't know if you monetize it now, like what you even be able to.
Well, here's what's weird. We did like it's monetized. It's almost sickening, honestly, because whenever the video was originally published, it shot up and it got all the way to 800,000 views. The channel's not monetized. It just started taking off again as of recently, and we saw how much it made off of 20,000 views, and we were just like, it's one of those like things like, wow,
So can I ask, because it's a 30-second clip, so there's only, I'm assuming there's just the commercial at the ad at the beginning, no commercial in the middle. Can I ask what 20,000 views for that 30-second video, like what is it? What did it pull?
Right now, it's at $14.
That's amazing for a 30-second video.
Yeah, and now if you think about that, like if it would have, when it got 800,000, when initially, like it got close to 800,000 views within the course of a week.
Mm-hmm.
And so like we just look at that number and you're just like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah, but I'm just looking here, yeah, man, you got these undisputed videos with 30,000 views, and your undisputed videos look to be the ones that get all your your views, and it's just like if these people would click subscribe to your channel, you know what I mean? But again, they watch your video, but they don't click subscribe because they look and be like, maybe at the time, those videos are 8-9 months old. They're like, maybe only had 2,000 subscribers. I don't want to subscribe to a channel. It's only got 2,000 subs, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, if you and everybody else watching this video clicked it, they'd have 25,000 subscribers, and then you'd be like, you wouldn't feel weird about subscribing to the channel because you're like, oh, I'm subscribed to they're pretty big. They obviously know what they're doing, blah, blah, blah. It's just a weird mental thing that people have,
Oh yeah, we're trying to get to where your channel's at.
Shoot, and I'm trying to get where other people's channels at, and I love the way that you set your goals. My first goal when I set off the YouTube was to get to 1,000. I was like, my first goal would be like, let me get 1,000, and after that, if I can get to 10,000 subscribers somehow, some way, that'll be like the greatest thing. Now I hit 10K. I don't know how long I'm going to be doing this. I hope I'm doing it when I'm 52, man. I really do. It's one of those things that can depend on various factors in life, as well as if we were able to continue to grow. And sim gaming is passionate as you and I both are. The realization is definitely there that it's a dying community. It's a dying breed. Developers aren't leaning that way because they can't microtransaction.
I think that it's getting ready to come back, and honestly I think you're probably going to play a big factor in all this. You have so many games. Like I said, we found you, and you're like one of the reasons like why we do what we do. But like with ESG football coming out, with varsity football coming down the road, maximum football, college football coming back, I think your YouTube page is going to be the most long you're doing it.
ESG, I don't think there's sliders for ESG, but I'm definitely, and that's okay. I will ask you this because that's one thing I don't know about. Are there sliders for maximum football? Or are you not allowed to say?
I have to plead the fifth.
Okay, you plead the fifth. That's all. That's perfectly fine. You can hit my DMs up later. I'm not just okay. No, yeah, but because that's what's so frustrating for me with like, I love PGA golf, but there's no sliders, so I can't create content for it. Yeah. I have tried streaming that game. Nobody cares. I have uploaded my hole-in-one. Nobody cares because it's not something that they can take and implement to their experience.
Yes.
And so that's where I need games where I can give them something they can implement to their experience. So I'm very pumped for NCAA football because it's another game I can throw out there. MLB The Show, I always drop a slider video, but there's not much else I can drop for that because the franchise and stuff, sliders and sevens, there's not just really much there to,
The franchise mode, they're like, they need to do something there. They're going to head down the same path.
There's really not much else I can drop for MLB The Show. Like my MLB The Show viewership is slider testing videos, and then I drop the sliders. If I just post, just playing with nothing. But if it's slider testing or slider video, it does numbers. So that's why there's not a lot of MLB The Show content on my channels. Once I drop the sliders, there's typically no need to change them throughout the year because they're a very solid game. So there's not really any need to change it throughout the year.
You do any wrestling?
Like wrestling? No, I don't do wrestling. No.
Oh yeah, I was going to say WWE 2K is full of sliders.
Is it? Yeah. Yes. And the thing is, I don't know much about that game. The reason I stick to Madden, 2K, and MLB The Show those are the three sports that I played in high school. Those are the ones I lettered in. in high school, and so it's easier to know about stuff that I actually played. I didn't play hockey, which is why I don't make content for hockey. I played soccer like in elementary on the playground, but that's it, which is why I don't make content for FIFA or whatever it's called now. So I never played golf in high school, but I played in the pastime now, so that's why I like to play the golf. But there's just no content I can really make for that game, unfortunately. But that's why I stick to the three main ones that I do, is because those are the ones that I played, those are the ones I'm knowledgeable about, those are the ones I understand and enjoy, and honestly, there's a lot of options for me to continue to drop content for them. Madden this year, I was able to do the franchise sliders and settings. I was able to do the draft class generator. I was able to do the kicking. I was able to do the teams to rebuild. You had your gameplay sliders. You had XP or your progression sliders. I was able to drop all just those informational videos from Madden right there, just alone. In 2K, I've been able to kind of weasel my way in a little bit there. You got your rotation setup. You got your gameplay sliders. You got your My NBA sliders and settings. And then I've been recently able to drop updates for the movement sliders, simulation sliders, and playoff slider set, for making it play different in the playoffs and stuff like that. So been trying to
just think this year you're going to be able to, for the probably first time, to double dip on like EA content, because you're going to definitely have sliders for college football, and you're going to have Madden and another game, which I'll DM you about later.
Yeah. I look forward to that. Yeah, for sure. And if 2K ever releases their football game.
Like, what happened there? Like, honestly, like, what happened there? Like, everybody thought that wild card football might be it for a little bit, but like now, that game was supposed to be out last year, and there's no sign of it. Like,
it was supposed to be out, and it got postponed. But it's like, drop some sort of information, drop a trailer, drop a blog, drop something.
Well, they've scrapped it. They've
started it like 3 times, right?
Yeah, because they're trying to walk up to that line, because I think they really want the NFL license back.
And I think EA, I don't know why EA is so determined to keep the simulation license. Bro, your game's not sim. There's a reason penalties aren't called in the game no matter how high you put the penalty sliders up. There's a reason auto subsiders don't work. There's a reason you have fatigue that's completely broken. You can't. Why are you fighting for the simulation license when you don't care about having simulation gameplay? You care about having a good gameplay experience for your competitive scene. That's perfectly fine. People love Madden competitively. The gameplay is very arcadish and competitive, but people enjoy it. Stick to what you do well. Arcade competitive gameplay. Let somebody else who wants to make simulation football make simulation football.
Yes, because they're not going to lose. Like, I find like the most brutal thing is the comments and like on videos. And I try to tell people, no matter what happens, Madden's never going to lose your ground. It's been around for so long. And like you said, they could give up that simulation license and you're still going to make your money, because it's a lot of people that's the only thing they're going to play, and that's the only thing they know is Madden. Mm-hmm. But they're just, to me, it's like they're greedy. Like, they just want money. They don't want any competition out there that even is able to put NFL license or NFL, like on their bots. And like, they've shown that time and time again.
Yeah, it's frustrating, man, because, dude, I was 15 when NFL 2K5 came out. And it's like, to think that we lost that license and we had all these deals, and I've been sitting here waiting for 20 long years for NFL 2K to make a return. And 20 years later, I could have had a kid at 15. He's old enough to drink damn near now.
To make you feel young, whenever I used to be able to play NFL Game Day, NFL Fever, Madden, and 2K, and NFL Quarterback Club, all these NFL licensed games I was able to play. And actually another game I got sitting next to me is Front Page Sports Football 98. I don't know if you ever heard me on my video. This is an old game on PC. Like,
oh wow.
If you can ever do research on it, do research on the old Front Page Sports Football series. Still, in my opinion, one of the greatest simulation football games ever made. Like, everything that you're talking about in franchises, these games had them all the way dating back to like 1992, 1993. Wow. And just the absolute choice that we had through the 90s up until, like, I would say the early 2000s. Just like, I feel for a lot of modern gamers because they don't realize how much choice we had, but just not with Madden football, but with NBA games. Everybody was whatever your flavor was, you could find a game that fit what you were looking for, what kind of experience you were looking for in a game. And it's like now, I kind of feel bad for the new generation because everything's funneled down into one thing. Like, either you want sim or you want arcade. But way back when I was playing, there was like you had all the way to each side of the pendulum. Like, Front Page Sports was your extreme sim football game. Madden was somewhere in the middle. If you wanted to go a little bit more towards sim, but with a little bit arcadey, 2K5 was it. If you just wanted to have all around like fun, NFL fever. It's just a whole different, sports landscape that we live in now.
Yeah, and it was a different time. And what's crazy is, we're in this time where there's no opportunity for multiple simulation football games, but there's plenty of opportunity for multiple MLB baseball games, but no one's making an extra game. There's opportunity for an extra NBA game, but nobody's doing it. We're all, for whatever reason, all the money that 2K is making from NBA games, nobody wants to put their foot in the water and just be like, hey, let's see if we can't take some of that revenue. MLB The Show expanded to Xbox to increase their footprint, you know what I mean? But EA hasn't revived the MVP baseball series for whatever reason. There's just, 2K, hasn't tried to bring back their NHL series. They're bringing back tennis, but they're not bringing back 2K MLB baseball, or they're not going to bring back the NHL series for 2K, but you're going to bring back tennis, topspin.
It's the gentleman's agreement between big companies, because if I start developing these separate games, I have to hire more people, and there's no insurance that I'm going to make that much money. So between all these big corporations like 2K, EA, and all them, it's almost like a gentleman's agreement. Okay, you can have the NBA market. You don't have to worry about me. You can lock it down. You can make all the money you want to, as long as you promise not to make a football game. We have football. But before, they didn't have that type of, they like competing, but now they're okay with one studio, one game, all the money in that genre.
Yeah. No, I still just, I get that. I hate thinking about how there was all this competition. There wasn't even microtransactions. And now it's like all these microtransactions with all this extra money flowing around, and there's no competition.
Yeah.
There's more money to share. They just don't want to share it,
Yeah. Not at all.
Yeah. But anyway, my guy, I want to appreciate you for taking the time to come on here and chit chat with me. I loved talking with you about 2K, Madden, Maximum Football, NCAA football, and everything else we talked about. And for those listening who would be interested in finding your content and following you and staying up to date on all the sports video games out there, that anytime there's any news, you got to just jot on the spot, drop that news for people. They can find it all in one spot. Where can they go ahead and find you at?
You can find us on Twitter at the SGN HUB. You can find us on Instagram at SGN HUB Social. We're also on Facebook at SGN HUB. And of course, our YouTube channel, which is SGN HUB Gaming. And we are also on TikTok at the SGN HUB Social.
Perfect. And for those watching on YouTube, His YouTube channel link will be in the description of the video, so just go ahead and click that, check it out, and give them a follow. It'd be fantastic. So anyway, thank you for taking the time to come on, and I know we're going to talk soon, and I think it'd be awesome to, whenever Maximum Football and NC Football are both in both of our hands.
Yes.
And when we've played it a little bit, I think it'd be awesome to come back on here and talk about it and just dive into our experience with NCAA football and Maximum Football. I'm assuming that they should both be out around the same time. I can't imagine Maximum's going to want to wait until NCAA football and Madden are released before they drop their game, because that's just going to really make it difficult for them to get the downloads.
Yes,
so
sir.
they gotta beat both of them to the punch. So they know that. So thank you so much, man. And we will definitely plan that here in a couple months. But until then, thank you. And for those listening, thank you so much. Stay tuned to the next one. Peace.
Yes, sir.